Okay, so here we go. My time has officially started. All right, it is 8:35 p.m. Central Time. Hey, Sophia, thank you for joining me. I'm Des of Des 360. I'm a transformational coach, and I am here to talk about what you're saying to yourself. I think that you got to be careful what you're saying to yourself because you may actually be listening. So what the heck am I talking about, and what does all that mean? Tonight, we'll be talking about positive self-talk. So let me tell you where this came from. I was on the gram, right? I'm trying to make sure I stay with it, right? You know, I have this 15-year-old over here, and, you know, she thinks I'm sometimes a little lame. So, yeah. So, anyway, I was on I was on the gram. I almost said Instagram. I was on the gram, and I saw a post, and it was about like it was a self-affirmation post or something to that effect. And one of the followers on that particular page, she got on and she said, she commented and she was like, can you guys give me an example of what that means, like to self-affirm, because I'm struggling, like positive self-talk, I don't know. And so they told her they would get back to her because they're going to do a whole series on it. Well, me being the person I am, for one, you don't know what the person's going through. They may actually need the help in that moment. So for me, it's like, okay, what do we need to do? So I took it upon myself and I went ahead and I decided to give her some tips. So I just gave her like 3 tips, and it made me start to think like, how many more people out there are actually struggling with the topic of self-talk? This topic goes hand to hand, and self-talk is almost synonymous with affirmations. And just to give you a little bit of background, I love affirmations. Affirmations are what got me through a lot of my roughest times in my life. I love sticky notes as well. So I will have affirmations all over my house, in my car, my dashboard. So any place that I looked frequently, I had a sticky note. And what began to happen is even when I removed the sticky note, because I remember that affirmation, what ended up happening was I still remember what the affirmation said. And that's just because that's the way our mind thinks. You remember stuff. So I use a lot of color coding and things like that. So you have to speak life to yourself and over yourself. And that sometimes is a challenge, especially if you're going through really rough times, like I was when I first started kind of getting into this whole self-talk affirmation thing. And the beauty of it is you don't have to be a certain age to learn how to do this, because my daughter, who's 15, she's been affirming herself for quite some time. She has an affirmation wall in her bedroom. She's had one since I can remember. They started off very small, like I am smart, I am beautiful, I am powerful, things like that. And at the time, she really didn't understand what she was saying, but there's life and death in the power of the tongue. Now, y'all know I'm going to give you an old scripture when I get on here. Yes, and I know it at a Bible study, but y'all know what I say. What's in me comes out. And so, hey, it's all good. So what I'm thinking about is, what can I do to help you all to start affirming yourself? My son, who's 2, he has 3 little affirmations. He says, I am strong, I am powerful, and I am smart. So that's why I have him saying, and of course he's 2. So if he can repeat those things, even without really knowing what they are, then I believe that you have the power to affirm too. And because I want to stay on target, on task, and on time, I have some notes, okay? Because you guys know I love to talk to you and I love to give tips. So I like to, it's 8:30 at night and some of you need to go do some other stuff and wrap up your evening to get started for tomorrow, or you just getting started and working your own business because, you just got off your job, all the things that happens in our life. So let me get started, right? So it's not uncommon for most of us to have this conversation in our head. Like you could be in a grocery store like, do I want to get cookies and cream ice cream or do I want vanilla today, right? So those are conversations that we have. Well, what happens is because of the conditioning that we've been under, regardless of what's happening in life, you've been conditioned to think a certain way. And so because of that, you have conversations in your head, right? And sometimes those conversations are not necessarily positive conversations. Those conversations can be very negative conversation or self-doubting conversations. And I don't know if you know this, but our brain is wired to remember bad experiences more so than a positive one. So it takes a longer time for you to manifest positivity when it comes to thoughts than it does to get rid of the negative ones. So when you're talking about starting to affirm yourself and starting to positively self-talk in your own head and listen to your own conversations, it's going to take some time. You're going to have to just be patient with yourself. You know what I'm saying? So there is a running dialogue in your mind, in your head. It's a small voice. We call it different things. In this instance, we're talking about the self-talk. Now, You guys know that I am an education background and I have a counseling background. So I always look at the psychology of things and I love it. So I don't know if you know this either, but Sigmund Freud was the first person to go on record to say that we have these conscious and unconscious thoughts that we have that we sometimes don't have control over, or those thoughts are formed based upon previous experiences or from other people, right? So self-talk can be positive or negative. So be careful when you say, you know, I do a lot of self-talking. Because like my post says, what are you saying to yourself? Because you might actually be listening. You can hear those small voices in your head. So what are you saying? Are you going to use that power that you have, that internal power, to affirm yourself, to speak life to yourself? Or are you going to keep reminding yourself of the past mistakes and things that you did, right? So when I talk about negative self-talk, let me give you some examples. Some examples of negative self-talk include, I'm not good enough for that. Or I'm not going to try that because I already know what's going to happen. Or I better not go to that event because nobody's going to like me there. It's not going to be my crowd. People are going to be looking at me crazy, right? So all those things, those are all examples of negative self-talk. And so what happens is you'll say this thing one time and then you'll find that you are repeating yourself, saying the same stuff over and over. And then all of a sudden you have this pattern of negativity in your mind and you don't even remember where it originated from. Sometimes it originates in fear. So you stop yourself from creating the life that you want to live because you're solely afraid. And it's like, you know what? I'm not going to become a speaker because nobody's going to listen to me. Lies, lies, lies. Okay? It is a lie. So those negative things. So then we also have positive self-talk, which is what we're really focused on today. But in order to talk about the positive, I have to walk you through this whole negative piece because you have to do some undoing in order to kind of redo. And you have to assess where you are in order to create and realize where you want to go and see what's necessary to get to where you want to go. So positive self-talk, obviously, is the opposite of the negative self-talk. These are things that affirm you, that are reassuring. And I'm not talking about the narcissistic self-talk where you like, you know, I'm the baddest chick in the room. And you know what I'm saying? You might think you're the baddest chick, but the chick next to you also thinks she's the baddest chick. Or, you know, you may think that, you know, you're unstoppable and things like that, but not in a way that's reassuring, but in a way that you're better than someone else, in a condescending way. That's not positive self-talk. That's arrogance and that's narcissism. That's another conversation for another day. Today we're talking about positive self-talk. Okay. So it's more about showing yourself, like self-pride, you know, assuring yourself of self-esteem and self-value. And yes, David, you're right. Fear is a powerful barrier to persons with full potential. You're absolutely right. I love that. Okay. So what is the research saying about this positive self-talk? Again, you guys know I love to do some research and present you with more than just my opinion. The research is showing that unanimously, I looked at several research pieces, and I can drop them in a link if you guys want to read them, but all the way back from 2011 so until current. So within the last decade, what are people saying about positive self-talk? And it is a no-brainer. The research unanimously agrees it's quite a lot, and it is very effective in your life in reshaping your reality. Positive self-talk, we know the saying, we've heard it before, our thoughts become our actions, right? So whatever you think about, you end up manifesting. You have to be careful what you're thinking. So if you have a voice in your mind that is creating thoughts and helping you to create thoughts, then you act upon those thoughts, right? Okay, so what is the importance and the benefits of positive self-talk? Now here's your 5, okay? So here's your 5 and 15. Here are the benefits. There are so many. So when you think about self-talk, we know that professional athletes use self-talk all the time. We know that highly successful people engage in self-talk all the time, positive self-talk. Okay, and we also know that people that are overcoming addictions and a lot of other life-altering tragedies, they also use self-talk, like traumatic PTSD and things like that. It starts in your mind. So here are your 5 tips. It helps to reduce stress. Why? Obviously, because if you're creating a life that you want, you'll be a little less stressed out. Duh, no brainer, right? Okay, number 2, it helps to boost confidence and resilience. Once you start talking positively and speaking positively to yourself and, you know, speaking life into your life, you'll see that your life is actually changing. And I know that sounded crazy, speaking life into your life. Yeah, but that's what I mean. When you start speaking life into your life, when you start breathing into that thing and giving it life and giving it CPR, you'll notice that, hey, you know what? Yesterday, I tried to do something that I've never done before, and I didn't quite reach my goal, but I'm glad that I tried it. Now that's positive self-talk. That was a built-in example of what you could do. So you may have a really hefty goal that you're trying to reach, and instead of saying to yourself, I can't do that, it's unattainable, it's not for me. Yeah, they can do it, he's doing it, she's doing it, but I'm scared, I can't do it, I won't do it. That's negative. Let's change that thing around. You know what? I'm going to give it my best shot. And once it's finished, if you did not reach your specific goal, then what you will say to yourself is, you know what? I didn't quite hit the top, but I started climbing a mountain. So I'm okay with that. I'll keep trying. And next time I'll get a little bit closer. Positive self-talk, right? So that was two things. The third thing is it helps you build better relationships. Let's face it. Some of our thoughts are created from external things, namely people. Okay. So sometimes what happens is you're listening to your friend, your cousin, your brother, and they're negative Nancy's or negative Nicks, I guess is what we can call them. They always have something negative to say. And what happens is you start to listen to them. They keep, every time you get with them or you're on the phone with them, you're texting, is something negative said. Guess what? Eventually their words become your thoughts. I'll say that again. Their words become your thoughts. They start to project on you everything that's wrong in their life, in the world, and everywhere else. And then the next thing you know, you hear yourself saying some of the same stuff that they were saying that has absolutely nothing to do with you. Now you're looking at yourself like, do I really have rolls in my back? I'm just saying that might be me. I just had some kids. I don't have that many rolls, but I'm saying you get the point, right? You start to say, you know, are my lips really that big? Because they say something trying to be slick and take digs, and they're talking about the way you look, right? So you got to be careful with that. So when you start to think positively, guess what? Your relationships change. You want to be around people that think just as positively as you do, because guess what? There is nothing more powerful than two people getting together, or a group of people who all are encouraging and motivating each other, and not just for the sake of doing it, but because my husband's like, he love rolls. Y'all better get him. Anyway, yeah, he done threw me off, child. Wait a minute. Okay, talking to you're in a group of positivity, and then you're sitting there and everybody else is positive. It just empowers you. It strengthens you. And even those weak moments that you have, those inner thoughts that you don't share with anyone else, sometimes the person in that space with you will affirm you without even knowing they're affirming you. But that's the power of positivity, okay? The next thing, you see the whole truth, not just the negative aspects of any given situation. So when you're thinking negatively, all you see is negative. It's something wrong with everything. You're the biggest critic every time you go somewhere, no matter who you with, where you are, you always have something to say, and you are absolutely draining. Now, I'm saying this in a sense of you, because if you're the negative Nancy or the negative Nick, then this message is for you. Stop draining the energy out of everyone with all of your negativity. Find something positive to say. I'm sure you can find something, at least one thing. And if you can't, inbox me. I'll help you with that, okay? That's what I'm here for. We need to change your mindset, okay? And then the fifth thing is you get to achieve your goals. Why? Because you start to believe that you can actually do this thing. You start to feel good about yourself. You start to, you know what? Last week I did this thing new. So this week it shouldn't be that bad to try something else new, right? Sometimes we put ourselves in this box, in this bubble, and it's just really challenging to get out of it. So that's negative self-talk. That's positive self-talk. And those are the 5 benefits. Now, how do you use these techniques? Guys, I think I'm going to go over time. I can already kind of see it. I'm going to just apologize in advance that I think I'm going to go over to 15. I need to change this like to 5 tips in 20 minutes or something. I don't know. Anyway. How to use these positive self-talk tips, because the thing is, if you're going to start affirming yourself and speaking positively, you're going to have to undo the negativity. So my philosophy and theory is, and it's research-based, I'm not making this up. Whenever you are trying to replace a bad habit with a new habit, then you have to find a new habit. So in this case, we want to replace a bad habit with a positive habit. So for example, you've seen this before. Let me give you the concrete example so I can make it real plain. People who smoke. We've seen the commercials. They smoke cigarettes, okay? They smoke, and they cannot stop for whatever reason. They've been smoking their whole life. They're chain smokers. They smoke 5 packs in a day. They spend their whole check on smoking. Well, when they finally try to stop smoking, what do they go to? Who can tell me? When smokers typically try to stop smoking, what is one habit that they pick up? Okay, y'all taking too long. Y'all on my 15 minutes. They start chewing gum. The idea is that every time I want to smoke, I chew gum instead. Now, some of the gum is nicotine, where it has like the special ingredients in it to try to help them to not crave the nicotine as much nicotine as it is in the cigarette. However, Rachel said they started drinking. Well, that's true too, but they pick up another habit. So you have to be careful when you are trying to undo some negative behavior that you pick up a positive habit, something that is positive in exchange. So Here are some things. Here are four types of negative. That's okay, Rachel. Here are four types of negative things that we do. So the first thing is personalizing, right? Everything is always your fault. Have you ever met someone like this? Here's a scenario. Your workout partner cancels because, okay, I'm going to be your workout partner for tonight. I canceled because my baby got sick. God forbid. But we're just going to make this up. He got sick. But all of a sudden, here you are making it about you. You think I'm canceling because I don't want to be your workout partner anymore. You start to go in this deep, dark hole. And you think that I'm canceling because you, and it has absolutely nothing to do with you. Stop personalizing. The negative self-talk is not going to get you anywhere, okay? Here's another example. The second thing, filtering. You focus on the negative. Now, you're at an event, okay? Matter of fact, no, let's not go to an event. Let's keep on this weight loss thing, this workout thing. It's a new year, and some of you have set resolutions to lose weight, gain weight, tone up, all that stuff. So let's stay with the working out. Okay, so you focus on the negative. You gained a pound this week. You gained a pound. So what? Last week you lost 26 pounds, or you've lost a total of 26 pounds in the last month. And then you start to talk about, oh, I've gained this 1 pound and the world is over and I should just quit. I'm worthless. You go into this whole dark hole. You have to stop personalizing. You have to stop filtering. You have to look at the whole picture. And then if you're not personalizing and if you're not filtering, then guess what you start doing? You start catastrophizing everything. The worst will always happen. Have you ever met someone like that? It's always the worst. Like, let me tell you. So we're going to stick with this working out thing. This weekend, you have a birthday party to attend. And as a matter of fact, it's a cookout, it's a barbecue, and it's birthday cake there. You've been doing well. And you had already planned that you were not going to eat certain food anymore or for this time period or whatever the case may be. All of a sudden, you start catastrophizing. Oh, my God, I don't know if I should attend because they're not going to have any healthy options for me. It's going to be a waste of time. It doesn't make any sense. And then if I ask her to give me some carrots out the refrigerator, then she's going to get upset with me. It's like, who are you talking to? Where are you getting this from? You're just making this up. Like, no, this is not even happening. You don't know that they won't have a little vegetable tray and a little fruit tray there. But already, because you're so used to keeping yourself in this cycle of catastrophizing, there you go again, catastrophizing the situation. And then here's the last thing that you do when it comes to negative self-talk. You polarize. What does that mean? Everything must be perfect. So we're talking about this whole workout thing, right? So you felt sluggish today during your workout, and you didn't push as hard as you usually would. It's okay to the normal person. But to you, you have failed the entire week. And it's like, okay, because today you felt sluggish. Today, the sluggish was the best you had. Sometimes it's like that. Listen, I need to get up and go work out. As a matter of fact, I am. When I get off the phone, look at me. See, I could catastrophize this right now, but I'm not. When I get off this live with you all, I still have things that I have not achieved today. And guess what? It is not the end of the world. I'm just going to go up, I'm going to go upstairs, I'm going to work out. I'm going to go ahead and push past my quit, and I'm just going to do it. It's okay. And if I don't lose 200 calories or burn 200 calories tonight, it's not the end of the world. It's okay. Okay. So those are things that you have to be aware of in order to replace that negative thinking with positive thinking. So you might identify with one of those characteristics of negative self-talk, two of them, or all four. That's for you to decide. And because I've given these to you, I want you to understand that this is a part of your strategy. So the first thing, you have to come to realization that you negative self-talk. That's number one. You have to, take ownership of your negative thought process. That's the first thing. The second thing you want to do is identify self-talk traps. What does that mean? Some situations cause us to indulge in more negative self-talk to others. Let me go back to what I mentioned earlier. When you're around certain people, they're always negative, so you find yourself being negative. Or maybe it's that when you attend say you're introvert, and then you start to attend, you're at a social event, and then you realize that that's a trigger for you. So you have to identify your triggers for negative self-talk, okay? And then you also want to go ahead, after you've identified your traps, you want to go ahead and start getting some positive affirmations in there. Now, you don't have to start with many. I'm going to give you some examples before we leave here, but you don't have to start with many. Just start small. Start with the biggest problem that you have. And if that's too big for you, then start with something small. If you have an issue and it's a smaller issue as compared to something else as far as your thought process is concerned, then you want to go ahead and start with a smaller affirmation. You know what? I am powerful. I can do it. Nike already helps you. Just do it. Hey, there you go. Your first affirmation right there. Then the third thing is, you want to make sure that if you are a person who engages in negative self-talk on a regular basis or more than what you would like to, then you want to check in with your emotions regularly. You want to keep an account to how you're feeling, why you're feeling the way you're feeling. Is there something happening around you that's triggering you? So stay in tune with your emotions. And then the fourth thing is you don't want to be afraid to create boundaries, because sometimes you have to create boundaries. So we're going to go back to the same example I gave. Some of the people that are around you, they're part of your problem. And you don't know how to set boundaries. You don't know how to tell them that, you know what? You're part of my negative self-talk. I can't make progress because I'm constantly replaying your words in my head. Your words have become my thoughts, and now I become stagnant. Now, it's not totally their fault, but if you're a person who doesn't have control or total belief in self, and you engage in negative self-talk all the time, you have to be careful of the people around you. So guess what? This journey is about you. It's not about changing anyone else. So instead of telling them to change their talk and to do all that, work on yourself. Set your boundaries, okay? Set your boundaries. You know what? I can't hang out with y'all today. I'm a little busy. I'm a little caught up. And when you get strong enough, you'll be able to tell them, I'm straight, because everything you say is negative, and that's not good for my space, my life. I can't. But it's progress, not perfection. We'll get there, right? So in order to engage in more positive self-talk, you have to get rid of the negative. Here are your steps. This is your summation. I want you to identify the type of negative self-thinking that you have. I gave you 4 of them, okay? And they are, let me go back up to my notes because I'm going to get you off of here. They are filtering, personalizing, catastrophizing, and polarizing. Identify your issue, okay? Then after that, you want to determine the source. Is this something that happened to you when you were a child? Are you still listening to the voice of an aunt who told you you would never be nothing? So now you still believe that you would never be nothing. You could never be nothing. Maybe it was your older sibling who was joking with you and told you that you were ugly. And now you really believe that you're still ugly and you're almost 50 years old. Is it the voice of a friend who you think is a friend and you call a friend, but every time they get an opportunity, they're taking a dig? So whose words are you allowing to become your thoughts? You have to do the assessment, determine the source. Okay. Or maybe, let me add this too. Maybe it's that you did actually fail at something. And so now you lack confidence in that area. So now every time you get ready to try something new or to try that thing again, you stop yourself because of the last experience. That's not going to work. That was the last experience. And let me give you this. This is for free. If you're failing at something, that means you're trying. So happy failing. Happy failing. Get out there and try some new stuff. And then the last thing is to change your outlook with positive self-talk, including affirmations. Okay. So here you go. You want to change from I can't to I can. I can do this. I can complete this assignment on time. I can write this book. I can write this song. I can perform. I can create this event. I can change the life of someone else whose life I touch. I can, I can, I can. No longer will you say the word can't, okay? Change your no to yes. When someone asks you, hey, do you want to try hiking this weekend? Instead of saying no because you have an experience that didn't turn out favorably, you say yes. Why not? Give it a try. This experience is totally different, okay? Change from I have doubts to I have no doubts. It's okay to evaluate and assess a situation, but to doubt it just because of your negative self-thinking, that's a problem. We want to get rid of that. Stop doubting everything. Change from impossible to I'm possible. The word itself, impossible, says I'm possible. Write it out. I'm possible. That's what it says. I'm possible. I can do this. I can become myself. I can be my best self. I can become the person that I dream that I can become. I can fulfill my dream. I can be the person God has called me to be. I'm possible. You are possible. Then what about I'm unable to I am able? You are able to do all things through Christ who strengthens you. Now, y'all know I'm going to give you a word. But seriously, you are able. Maybe you need to train more. Maybe you need to prepare more. But guess what? You're able. Do what it takes. If you have something you're trying to do, prepare for it, train for it, eat, drink, sleep it, and then do it. You're able, okay? Then stop expecting the worst and demand the best. Sometimes it just doesn't work out because of this preconceived notion. Guess what? Before you even try something, you're already talking yourself out of it. I mean, you get an idea, you just shut it down. You don't need anybody else. You don't need negative Nancy's. You don't need negative Nicks, because you have just shut yourself down before you can even start. And how about your lack of effort? How about put more effort into the thing that you're trying to do? Sometimes your thinking will slow you down. So you have to combat that with action. Sometimes you have to combat your negative thinking with action, okay? For every negative self-defeating phrase you have ever spoken of yourself, remember there is a direct opposite and equal, not equal, but opposite thought to that. So I can't, I can. I'm not able, I am able. So you have to start talking over yourself and being able to really counteract the things that you've said to yourself. So I hope that this was beneficial to you. I hope that this has helped you. I know that I'm over time again, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm trying to do 5 tips in 15 minutes, but I don't just like to give you tips without an explanation. You know what I mean? Like, who wants to just get some tips without being able to apply these things in real life application? I know I don't. So I'm sorry. I'm over my 15 minutes again. I think I'm going to just rename this whole live thing Tuesday Transformation Tips. It will not be 5 and 15. It'll probably be 5 and 25 and 25. I don't know. Right now, our clock is at 27 minutes. Hey, listen, if you have any questions about anything that I presented here today or any of my other live videos, go ahead and shoot me a DM, inbox me. If you have my number, you can text me. I am Des of Des360. I'm a transformational coach. And guess what? I look forward to seeing you right here on Tuesday. If you haven't subscribed to my Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, go ahead and subscribe. Des360 is the Facebook, Des360 on Instagram, and Des360 on YouTube. I made life real easy for you. And make sure you bring a friend with you. Don't be selfish. This is great content. Share it with someone. Have a great evening, guys. You can do it.